Welcome to Testosterothon. 28 movies so manly, playing them will permanently damage DVDs of Lifetime movies. Sudden Impact is the fourth Dirty Harry movie and the only one to be directed by Clint Eastwood. If you're familiar with his directorial work of recent, this may lead you to quickly believe that it's probably easily the best one. But unfortunately, that's not the case here. Sudden Impact has two simultaneous storylines that eventually intersect in the middle of the film, though they're really the same story told from two different perspectives. Basically, Harry Callahan is investigating a string of murders in which the victims were all shot in the crotch before being shot in the head. His methods once again raise the ire of his commanding officers, who force him to take a vacation, but due to his interrogation of an aged mob boss in an unrelated case, giving the man a heart attack, he's constantly being attacked by mob assassins. When he's put back on the case, he still has to wrestle with every other cop seemingly want to do nothing more than make his job harder. Sound familiar? Yeah, the whole, damn it, Callahan, your methods just don't cut it in this day and age shtick that's been around since the first film, and at this point, man, either fire the guy or admit that he gets results and leave him the hell alone. The constant badgering of the character leaves me feeling constantly badgered. Or maybe since this is 7 years since the last film, they felt they needed to remind everyone that Callahan is a loose cannon that clashes with the increasingly progressive San Francisco PD. Either way, this is the point where it's just worn out its welcome. It's not that the idea should be dropped completely, we just don't need to be beat over the head with it in every single scene. If you saw The Enforcer, you'll remember his sarcastic catchphrase where he'd go, "Marvelous," when things weren't exactly going his way. Well, just to show that this is a clone of the last film, they do that again, except now he says swell. Swell. Anyway, the other storyline is about a woman who was beaten up and brutalized by a gang of thugs ages ago. They also raped her sister and left her brain injured and in a vegetative state. She's out for revenge, tracking down everyone involved with the rape and killing them. So basically, it's the same case, only we're seeing it from the killer's perspective as well. Callahan meets the killer. I had to look up her name, she's not a memorable character, but her name is Jennifer, and they seem to bond and there may be even a romantic connection. But, eventually it does come down to the point where the movie forces us to deal with the scene where Callahan realizes that she's the killer he's been chasing. So what does he do? Well, he looks confused since he kills the remaining bad guys in the final action scene without ever realizing that Jennifer was killing them off. And he seems shocked when she admits to it, probably because she thought he figured it out already. She could have just kept her mouth shut. The ending really bothers me because I think Callahan was completely out of character. I guess I shouldn't spoil it, but he did the wrong thing for the character. The movie tugs you along. You kind of expect that scene where Dirty Harry sympathizes with what Jennifer has gone through, but condemns the brutal revenge slayings, but, well, it doesn't exactly go that way. It should have, but it didn't. You know what? I'm not even saying that what he did was wrong. I probably would have done the same thing in his shoes, but I don't feel it's what the Harry Callahan we've seen in the first three films would have done. I feel the ending betrays the character. There's other issues. The dialogue in this one is a lot worse, especially the scene where Callahan starts using a new gun, an automatic pistol. The movie practically turns into a gun commercial. The movie is also somewhat known for its brutal depiction of the initial rape that Jennifer is getting revenge for, and they repeat it over and over and over again. I can definitely understand that this is realistic, as rape victims often deal with constant flashbacks. But for storytelling, it gets redundant after you've seen it half a dozen or so times. Another issue I had was the cinematography, which isn't just too dark. It's a lot like the first film was, only instead of being a minor flaw in an otherwise great film, it's just another thing bogging down a bad film. The action scenes in this one are stunted and dull. I long for the great chases and bombastic action of Magnum Force, or at least the gritty, brutal shootouts of the first film, but instead, each shooting comes off as clinical, and the action set pieces are rare and definitely subdued. Sudden Impact is just a forgettable entry and a black mark on Eastwood's directorial career, but, for every Gran Torino, American Sniper, Mystic River, or $1 Million Baby, there's an Absolute Power, Space Cowboys, or sadly Sudden Impact. On the machismo meter, this one barely makes the thing twitch. Eastwood comes off as bored and about as manly as a bowl of yogurt. I'll give it an extra point for giving us the classic line, "Go ahead, make my day." Though sadly, the great delivery of the line is marred somewhat by repeating it in a much more stilted way near the end of the film, so the machismo meter score is a 2. As for the actual score, it's not among the worst movies I've ever seen, but it is among the most forgettable. And honestly, that's kind of sad, considering how much I like the first 3. I'll give it a 3 out of 10.